Hi, happy Passover from Jerusalem. This is Chanoch Ne'eman, and this is the Neot Deshe News Hour, which will be less than an hour, but Neot Deshe is my organization which seeks to encourage people to talk about public issues here in Israel. Neot Deshe means nice grass or green grass, green pastures from the Psalm, which refers about lying me down in green pastures. And we want to encourage a healthy public debate about the issues that affect us all. And I want to wish everyone a happy Passover from beautiful Jerusalem, where I'm privileged to be for the holiday now. Passover is the holiday of freedom, and one of the main challenges to freedom today, I believe, is the Chinese Communist Party, who rules China, the so-called People's Republic of China, the PRC, which is not the people, it's the Chinese Communist Party. And they have up to 1 million of their own citizens, the Uyghurs, in detention camps. And they've separated those parents from their children, put their children in state boarding schools to teach them to be not Uyghurs. And we all have to stand up to China today. Anyone who can, whatever you can do as a consumer, when you go to the store and you see something and it says made in China, if there's any alternative, please buy the alternative. Don't support Chinese products until the Chinese start acting like human beings and let the Uyghurs out of their detention camps. And that applies on a personal level, it applies on a national level, it applies to Israel as well, who unfortunately does business with China. And we have to encourage all our corporations not to do that as much as possible, at the very least to speak up and say we are extremely unhappy with what's going on and we want it to stop. I'm in the process of talking to one of the companies which I have shares in, which I'm a partial owner in, and I tell you, it was difficult. It took weeks even to get a response for someone to be willing to talk to me, because the companies don't want to make waves, they just want to make money. And in fact, my wife, who speaks Swedish, she told me that she heard on the Swedish news program that there is a Swedish company, H&M department store or something, which actually had the courage to stand up and tell China that they were unhappy about what's going on in their human rights violations there. And of course the Chinese, as is their way, retaliated against them and tried to stop doing business with them, and or letting them do business with them. Kol hakavod, all the respect to H&M. We all have to stand up. They bank on intimidating us from saying things, but when the whole world says we're not going to put up with this, then they will submit and let the Uyghurs go. So let's all try to rededicate ourselves to that during this holiday of freedom, the Passover holiday. Another item I want to quickly say something about is the proposal recently in Israel by the government to create a national guard. This was preliminarily approved by the coalition government, the coalition, to try to create a national guard. Those of you who may know, Israel is a very small country. It already has a quite large army, relatively speaking. Israel is the size of New Jersey. It certainly has an army much greater than New Jersey, because New Jersey does not have an army, because it's not a country, it's simply a state within the United States. And although I must say that the police in New Jersey are more effective and more professional than the Israeli police, I don't like to say negative things, but for the sake of the truth, the New Jersey police are much more effective than the Israeli police. And this proposal to build a National Guard in Israel would cost, of course, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And the existing police commissioner originally said that he doesn't see why and we should do this, that it's just going to cause all types of overlap, which seems obvious to me. The answer is to improve our current police and other boards, not to create a new one. That's all we need is a new security organization. and I'm very unhappy about that, and I hope that something like that doesn't happen. The goal and the challenge is to make effective the units, the bodies, the law bodies that you have already, namely the Israeli police. One thing that could be done to improve it, I believe, is to denationalize the police, that is to say, to make the police subservient to the local areas, as it is in America, where they're part of either the state or the city governments. They answer to them. That would be a greater answer. I've tried many times to get answers from the police here in Israel, which are a national organization, and it's like pulling teeth and not very pleasant and not much results. They're not responsive, and it would be a good idea if we say that these police are attached to this area or this police and answer to local elected officials in those areas. That would be much better than creating a ridiculous National Guard. In America, the only achievement that I know of the National Guard is firing on college students when there was riots, which was not exactly a great benefit, I'd say, for the citizenry. So I hope we don't have a National Guard. And to conclude, I'd like to say that the reason we have ridiculous proposals like this, in my humble opinion, is that we have our coalition governments here. We also have just one district for electing. We all vote in the same election district, and that allows people like the gentleman who proposed and is pushing for this National Guard to be elected, because all the people who have a ridiculous or not ridiculous opinion from the whole country can get together and vote for someone. Pardon me. And if we had voting by districts like they have in America, so then you need a majority of the people in that district, not just all the people who share your particular view from all over the country to get together, but in a single district you have to reach out to a larger consensus group. So I don't think we'd have so many ridiculous proposals like this if we had district elections, and if we didn't have this coalition government where half the decisions are made right after the election when they make all types of deals. I think everyone who is elected as an individual, there shouldn't be any deals made about who's going to be in the government. Everyone who's elected should be in the government, should be in the Knesset. And then as issues come up, they're voted on individually, and each individual who votes for them has to answer to his voters how he voted in that particular question. So Hashem should help us to advance toward a truly more democratic country. On a positive note, it seems that some of the ridiculous things that the current government is doing now, such as trying to pass an override clause and whatnot, saying that the Knesset can simply override, if they have a simple majority, can override of 61 out of 120 members can override a Supreme Court decision. One of the good things is that now people are getting so upset about that they're talking about it. Let's actually write a constitution, which would be a good idea. It would be a very good idea to have our basic rights, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, etc., enshrined in a Bill of Rights, and then a Supreme Court can judge on that, not make up everything themselves. And we pray for that day, and we hope it's happening, and maybe it will, because people are getting upset about what's going on, and I also think it's ridiculous, some of the things that are being proposed, but they are being proposed because of the way we make our governments. Thank you, and happy holidays.